Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Dr. Susan Brown, Director of the Center for Better Bones. Yesterday, Jena posted on our Exercise Evolution, she posted a very interesting segment of exercises on sleep. And today I'm going to talk just a little bit about the importance of sleep. In fact, one of my favorite ways of looking at sleep is the Ayurvedic perspective, which really says that all rest is based on activity. Rest and activity go together. Sometimes in this culture we do a little too much activity and a little too little rest. We know, from all of us have had the experience, we don't feel as well as we don't sleep. An interesting insight, an additional insight, however, comes from weightlifters who say that exercise provides the stimulants, but rest does the work. So we think, I'm at the gym, I'm doing this exercise, I'm building muscle. What really happens is at the gym, when you exercise, you break down muscle, and then it's in sleep, in rest, that the body does the work. So another reason to pay a lot of good attention to getting high quality sleep. As it turns out, sleep is absolutely essential for the health and well-being of the entire body. And researchers suggest that if you get less than 6 hours of sleep in any 24 hours, that you can actually be cognitively impaired, have less quick reflex, not think quite so well. And I bet a lot of you really identify with that. The facts, the statistics look like this. About 60% of the people in this country don't get enough sleep to really be healthy. About 69% report sleep problems. And I know myself, you know, boy, if my sleep is not good, I really look for remedies because I don't feel well. Most of us experience sleep problems from now and then. 22% of the population is so sleepy during the day that it affects their quality of life, and 5% have nodded off while driving. And here's a time for my personal confessions. I actually, in the past, when I was pushing myself a little too hard, I've actually fallen asleep driving. And that's a very quick way to bring on a very big problem for your health. So we want to be as alert as possible all day long. And sleep is the basis of that. One of the interesting things about sleep is in sleep you detoxify. We detoxify the whole body. We repair the body, as I was suggesting. We build new tissue, new muscle, new bone, new blood cells. But a very interesting aspect of the detoxification has to do with the brain. Scientists now know that during sleep, your brain cells actually shrink by about 60%. And why does this happen? Because you remember last week we spoke about the lymph system, like being this circulatory system, like a vacuum cleaner that goes through the body, cleaning up debris between tissues and cleaning up extra fluid so you don't have so much edema, so much swelling. Well, the brain doesn't have any lymph circulation, but how the brain detoxifies removes those fluids, removes the materials the brain is not needed in the brain, is at evening the brain cells shrink, and that leaves room for detoxification, which occurs actually along the major vessels, along the major blood vessels, not a separate lymph, but very ingeniously, in the external areas of those blood tissues, fluids, extra fluids, toxins are removed from the brain that way, and they're put back into general circulation. It's a very interesting, creative way. All the body has to detoxify, even the brain, and the brain particularly detoxifies in the evenings. So we want to sleep enough. We want to get good rest. So the question always is, how much sleep is ideal? Well, the researchers are saying maybe 7 to 8 hours is ideal. Actually, this slide talks about 7 to 9 hours, but that's really not correct. If you sleep more than 8 hours, other research suggests that actually that is a risk for cardiovascular health. So people that sleep a lot, like 9, 10 hours, that's really not a great idea, except if you're ill or you're just recovering. Now again, these are statistics, but everyone can gauge themselves. Many people I find, for example, that in the winter, I feel great if I sleep 8 hours. In the summer, I only need to sleep 7 hours because there's more energy in my body and in the area. And I think I heard Oprah once say she sleeps like 4 hours a night. I don't know. There's some people that sleep very little. But be your own gauge. Know that generally 7 to 8 hours works for most people, and less than 6 hours very few people apparently do well on less than 6 hours. It'll be fun. You can write us your comments to see how well you get along. The idea is that you feel refreshed, energetic in the morning. All in all, about 37% of our population don't sleep enough to have really good health. And you almost can tell yourself, am I alert? Am I strong? Am I feeling good? Have I had enough sleep? It's interesting if you look at sleep. I'd ask you the question, what do you think is the most bone-damaging sort of sleep deprivation? Is it people that can't fall asleep, people that maybe wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, people that get up to urinate a lot? Well, actually what the research suggests is that the most damaging form of sleep deprivation, what damages bone most, is sleep loss, in other words, not getting enough sleep, with circadian rhythm disruption. Now, do you know what I mean by that? You know, the rhythm of the day-night cycle, the 24-hour cycle. So what this means really is people who do shift work, people who stay up in the night and sleep during the day, that is extremely damaging to bone. And it really causes an increase in bone breakdown and a decrease in bone formation. You know, in Ayurvedic medicine, the ancient medicine of India, they've talked about this for a long time. Once I was at a meeting with Deepak Chopra, and I asked him, I said, Deepak, how can you compensate if you're a night worker? Because one of my friends was a doctor who worked at night, and he said, you know, Susan, you can meditate, you can do massages and things that help, but he said there's really no way to compensate, that it's so damaging to the body. Now, of course, some people have to work at night. Our hospitals depended on it and whatnot. If you have a choice for bone health, don't work at night. And if you do have to work at night, do your meditation. Be sure to be regular in your sleep hours during the day and try to do all the nutrients and whatnot, which would stabilize bone. Upsetting the circadian rhythm, very damaging to bone. The bone likes regularity. The whole body likes regularity. So I'm sure you all know the importance of sleep. And I'm sure you've developed your own little tips and your own ways of dealing with sleep. My favorite tips are, of course, to avoid stimulants like all day long, perhaps, at least in the afternoon. There's some of us, like myself, that are very sensitive to caffeine. And they found that this is a genetic variation, actually. If I take even decaf in the afternoon, I will wake up. I won't be able to sleep. So know your system. Know how many stimulants you tolerate. And maybe avoid them in the afternoon. Doing gentle yoga and what's called nidra yoga, and that's what Jena was talking about this week, some yoga exercises that will help you relax more, have a more deep, a more pleasant sleep. Ayurveda, and I've often talked to actually Deepak about this, he says to quiet down an hour or so before bedtime. Some people take a hot bath. In Ayurveda, they like to have a little hot milk with ghee, if you can tolerate that, ghee and honey. You want to do things to quiet down, you know, turn those electronics off, settle down. Maybe you listen to some nice music. Maybe you read some spiritual things that uplift you, but to quiet down before bed. Another important thing is the dinner time. We would get better sleep if we ate dinner early, like 3 or even 4 hours before we go to bed, and make the dinner rather light. If you think about it, when you're sleeping, the body is detoxifying. It's not a great time to digest food. And so you want to eat early if you can, and eat a light dinner, have bigger meals for breakfast and lunch. And then you want to, if you say, look, I just want some simple nutrient that might help, magnesium is very excellent. I suggest 200 or 300 milligrams before bedtime. Magnesium relaxes the nervous system. If we're looking at bone health, we like to have about 1,000 milligrams of magnesium all day long. I use about 500 or 600 in supplements during the day, and so it's easy to take a few more hundred at night. You can try that. Many people report that magnesium helps them with sleep. And of course, I personally have also found melatonin helpful, and many of you have probably tried it. Sometimes the effect wears off. It works a little while, then it wears off. But melatonin seems to have many positive benefits. That's a hormone produced by the pineal gland and produced by other parts of the body. Tryptophan, which is an amino acid that produces serotonin. I personally like tryptophan a lot. And of course, there's other kind of old-fashioned techniques, like massaging your feet with sesame oil. Again, this is a Ayurvedic technique. You warm the sesame oil in your hands or a little dish, and then you massage your feet. And it's very good for children. It's good for adults. And as a comical thing, you might have seen running around the internet this idea of taking an onion, opening up an onion, putting it in your socks at night. Well, you know, I tried that once. It worked pretty well. So let me know how the onion works for you. I have no idea how it works. So these are some common tips. I also have several natural sleep aids that I like, that I've used over the years. Some work for one person, some work for the other. These are all natural products. So I'll make a little list. We'll give you a link to those in this video here. So I hope these tips are helpful. I hope we all try to get to bed on time, get to bed not too late at night, get up early. Obviously, the ancient people got up before dawn. That's a really helpful habit. Get to bed early. Get up early and see if you don't feel better during the day. As we close, I want to remind you, I've given you many Ayurvedic tips. We've decided to do our next retreat at the Himalayan Institute, an Ayurvedic treatment center. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can learn how to develop your own Better Bones, Better Body program. So I hope you join us May at the Himalayan Institute in Honesdale, Pennsylvania. If you have any questions about it, just give us a call, and I look forward to talking to you next week.